Hi, folks. Hey, this is Dale. Just want to give you something to think about. Years ago, and I do mean years ago, my wife and I had been married a little over a year, and we moved from Idaho back to my hometown, Eugene, and we lived with my folks for a couple weeks, which was a whole different story. But then some friends from the church we were attending were snowbirds, and they wanted to go back to Arizona. And they said, "Why don't you guys come and you house sit for us while we're gone?" And they said, "Oh, by the way, go ahead and move in. Here's the room you can sleep in, and the fridge is full. Use anything that you want." We thought, what a blessing that would be. That would be great because we have all that food that we could eat. And so we proceeded to move in, and it got to be about dinner time, and we were thinking, sweet, let's find something to eat. So we opened the fridge, and it truly was. It was full. It was packed top to bottom with all kinds of things. And as we took a closer look, we discovered that virtually everything in there was rotten. I'm talking rotten. You picked vegetables up and they would literally kind of drip through your hands, and the stuff was covered with mold. It was gross. And then to top it all off, I got to clean it up, and I developed I'm assuming I'm assuming that it was a case of the flu because I was puking, and it was just gross. It was gross. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible moment. And so the moral of that story is that if you really want to give somebody a gift, please make sure that it's a gift and not a nightmare. And the reason I'm sharing this story with you isn't to get you to feel sorry for me. It's to get you thinking about the things that we have and how we use those things. In fact, Paul wrote to the Corinthian church, and he was talking about the gifts that God gives us. And he said this in 1 Corinthians 12. He said, there's different gifts or different kinds of spiritual gifts, but the same Spirit is the source of them all. There are different kinds of services, but we serve the same Lord. God works in different ways, but it is the same God who does the work in all of us. A spiritual gift is given to each of us so we can help each other. I'm just thinking about that in relationship to the fridge that we were given access to and the food that was in it. And it just kind of dawned on me as I thought about all of that, that if we have this incredible gift from God, He gives us all kinds of stuff, and we just are filled with it, and then we hold on to it, we don't do anything with it, we don't use it, it could be like that fridge and just turn to a box of rotten garbage that has to be thrown away. And then we leave it for somebody else to clean up. So that's not much of a gift, and certainly not what God intends. Another option is, hey, we get all of this stuff. God fills us up with all kinds of stuff, and we just use it for ourselves. I mean, we're just gorged on all the wonderful things that God gives us. We just eat it and eat it and eat it and eat it. And problem with that is we become lethargic, and we become obese, and we become kind of useless because God didn't intend for us just to use everything that He gives us just for ourselves, like Paul said. But there is another option. We can take what we need, we can then use the rest to serve other people and point them to God. And oddly enough, I bet you, like the Israelites discovered in the wilderness, that they could eat as much as they needed to, and there would be enough for them to have the next day as well. So likewise, there's plenty for us to use and plenty for us to share, and God's economy is such that there's always enough. There's just always enough. My hope is that God has filled you up with plenty, not just for you, but for those around you, so that you could be a blessing in their life. Question is, how are you using what God's put in your fridge? Just something to think about.